Mental alchemists watch love conquer hate. Mental alchemists watch love conquer hate. Mental alchemist, what's love, conquer hate. I am an equal laser, but my head's a figure eight. I'm Melchizedek, moving through 50 states. Early Trismegistus, with the gods I relate. Mental alchemist, what's love, conquer hate. I am an equal laser, above my head's a figure eight. Returning of the ancient one, the mortal snacker, the dragon raider, a breather fire, generator, operator, destroyer, a self-lord, a master, instructor, a Kama Sutra, instructor the Tantra, a Kriya Yoga, the Kundalini, the resurrector, Shushuna, the eater, Pingala, waking the seventh chakra, become the avatar, Muhammad the conqueror, put the swords to your jugular, send you to the ethers, the earth, air, fire bender, the earth ruler, usher in a new era. In the saga, eyes filled with terror, eerie sounds of horror, reflection crack mirrors, mind made feeble, dreams crumble, the curse tremble, thieves in the temple raise your mental, beyond the four devils, you whack motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Or you got them cool niggas out there? You know what I'm saying? They're trying to put that fucking roof around those goddamn throats. You know what I'm saying? Because you didn't all this goddamn hip hop. That's why hip hop is dead now, motherfuckers. Yeah. We back once again. This is Blog Talk Radio Show, but is also the first World Auto Radio. Yes, it is. I'm gonna bring in my co-host, Brother Fahim El. Are you here?
I tell you Washington East.
Yeah, I tell you Washington East. Peace. How you doing today?
Peace. My good brother and sister. Doing fine.
All right, bro. We're going to have a little interesting show here. We're going to kick off probably about an hour worth of info before we get to the main line, as they say. You know, in Christianity, they say, tell it, you know, Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. So we're going to get to the main line for about an hour. Hold on 1 second. Peace.
Right. Peace, Doc. We're ready.
All right. We ready?
Yeah, I'm going right now.
All right.
All right, I'll see you in a second.
All right now.
All right, thank you.
All right, that's Brother Crumb Snatcher, William L., and he's getting ready to come on in a few minutes, and we're getting ready to go into some info that will probably blow your minds. Most of you have already heard me say before in many other episodes, but we're going to try to bring it together like a puzzle. There's so many pieces, and we want to try to bring it together as quickly as possible, you know, and clear as possible. You know, that's the real science. All right. So Brother L getting ready to come on. Of course, we have our brother Alim El-Bey now online with us. Anything you want to talk about right quick, Brother L, before we get into the main line?
Yes, have you heard anything about
Sister Khadija Ali, Muhammad Ali wife, joined the Moor Science Temple.
Oh, all right, all right. No, I haven't heard it,
I heard
but
that.
yeah.
That was on the Canaanland Moors.
All right.
Cujo working with him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they said she was dropping some little science to him. You know that she said that she had trained with Bruce Lee.
Right.
You know, so I didn't know that. You know, I didn't think they did.
Yeah.
But they said they trained with Bruce Lee, and you said that she wanted to kind of inspired Muhammad Ali to get his national name. I didn't know that either.
All right. There it is. More and more coming to light.
That's what they said that she was saying.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But that's beautiful. More and more coming to light. We need to hear more of that type of information. That's beautiful.
Right.
That's beautiful.
I was like, oh, Khadija Ali, all right.
Yup.
Come to the Moor Science Temple. All right. And but when the brother comes on, I might mute myself out because I know that my heater probably messing with the phone line a little bit, don't it?
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I haven't been on yet, but as soon as the brother come on.
Okay.
So how are things going down there with y'all in North Carolina?
Oh, it's going pretty good. Yeah, we
I heard there's some fires going on down there, down south or something.
Yeah, well, that was in trying to think of from some type of explosions, but that was in Texas. I think that was in Austin, Texas. The explosions.
Was that meteorite they're talking about?
Who knows? Because there was supposedly a meteorite that hit Detroit that caused that explosion a couple of months ago. During the same time that it was some type of strange occurrence that happened in Hawaii. So there's a lot of strange things going on right now, Brother Al.
Wow. Okay. So I found that other page in the White Slaves African Masters, and it was saying that there's no doubt what Moors look like. I don't know if I read this to you last night. Oh yes, it says the Moors here are perfectly black. Okay, but it says another page. It says here. These passages are written in the 18th and 19th century.
Right.
So these were by so-called white slaves. And they said the Moors here says here, perfectly black, the only personal distinction between them and the Negroes being that the Moors had long black hair and had so scars on their faces. But it says here again, and the next page, okay, get to this one right quick before the brother come on, hopefully. Where's this at?
Blue.
Come on.
Red Rising.
Here it is.
Islam.
It says here, the Moors were straight-haired but quite black. Their dress consisted of little more than a rug or a skin round their waist and upper parts from their knees downwards, being wholly naked. But it says here they were white black. So says some of them had straight hair. A lot of them do. You take the Aborigines in Australia. They have straight hair. So some of them don't. Some of them have woolly hair.
Or see if you can request to come in.
I have a cousin that has straight hair. So
Alim El-Bey.
So that's not unusual.
I just want to try to see maybe you can go
hold on,
to another page. I don't see that you can.
Right, I'm saying.
Or maybe if you log on,
hold on, brother.
Logged on. Maybe if you can log on through the phone. I'm not sure. Peace and salute, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is We Are the Reptilians Part 2 with Dr. Alim El-Bey. Dr. Alim El-Bey, excuse me. Thanks to all the family tuning in. This is We Are the Reptilians Part 2. I want to thank everybody for supporting me on the GoFundMe, Waking Sleeping Giants, peace and love, gratitude. I want to thank everybody who is subscribing on YouTube, everybody following me on Instagram, everybody watching who's going to catch this later on YouTube. All of the family, peace and love. This is We Are the Reptilians Part 2 featuring Dr. Alim El-Bey. We're just waiting to get the doctor on the line right now. I also want to tell the family, wherever you at, could you chime in and okay, need to go where? Okay, I don't know how you're logged on, doctor, but I don't have the add option for you. So you might be logged on your computer and you might have to get on your phone. I'm not sure. But whatever device you're logged on from, you can't feature from it. Or maybe, I don't know what the situation may be. But I don't see the add button for you. I'm just going to try to click you. Maybe can you delete pin? Nope, I don't have an option to add you, doctor. I don't see you. I don't see you. Maybe you can log on from a different device.
Okay, let me see. How would I?
Let me see. Okay, while the doctor's coming on, I can still share some of this.
You know I'm here
right
because
now,
I just
and I think you will really
wrote him. That's what he's saying. What he's saying.
So while the doctor is coming on, will this thing let me turn the camera? Rotate your device. You can't turn your phone while live. Dang, now they can't. I knew I can't do it while live. That sucks. And I don't want to cut it again. Oh, he said need to go where? Maybe you got logged on from a different device. I'm gonna cancel this one. My apologies, family. My apologies. You ain't doing nothing but BSing on Facebook anyway. My apologies, family. I'm about to delete this one, and then we're gonna try one more time from another device. I'm gonna give you
Okay. Brother L.
Yeah.
All right. We got some space, so please get back to saying what you were saying. He's gonna have to go out and come back on because he can't connect us on here. So please continue on with the Moors and how they looked and everything. That way everybody can get a full understanding of what you were saying also.
Okay. Start all over again. Find this page here. Here it is. Yes, it says here. The Moors were straight-haired, but quite black. Their dress consisted of little more than a rug or a skin round their waist, their upper parts, and from their knees downwards.
Now,
naked.
Brother L, was these the Moors that was here in the so-called Americas?
These are Moors that are over there in the Barbary.
Oh.
Barbary coast over there in Northwest Africa.
Interesting. Sound like the same characteristics of the so-called Moors, as they refer to as also Indians or Native Americans that was here.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. But what the people keep forgetting when they're talking about Morocco, they're actually talking about here.
Right.
Because see, Morocco did not become a sovereign nation until 1956.
That's right.
So this European here is talking about this is in the middle of the 19th century. You know, so he's got to be talking about here.
Right.
The Moroccans here. He's got to be.
Right.
That's right. The men had neither shoes nor hats, but wore their hair very long. The women had little dirty rags round their heads by way of turban, which was what he was talking about, a turban. That's what he's talking about.
Right.
So they were living in tents made of stuff like a coarse blanket of goat's hair and sheep's wool interwoven. Sound like the Moors here.
Right.
But some of them were about tents until they were enabled to make them of the sails of the ship, which they also made themselves clothes.
Okay.
So the men were circumcised They were apparent to be provided with no cooking utensil, whatever. You know, so their mode of dressing fish was by drying it in the sun.
Okay, sun-dried
So it sounds like
fish.
they're talking about the Moors over here in America.
That's what it sounds like.
Because the Moors over there, they were pretty well advanced.
Right.
Unless he's dealing with the countryside
Right.
or the desert part.
Mm-hmm. Well, if he calling them Berbers, then more than likely, he's talking about the Sahara Desert area. Yeah.
Like it says here again. Like I said, I said it before. I repeat it though. He says here that the Moors here are perfectly black. The only personal distinction between them, and it says here, and the Negroes, being that Moors had long black hair and had no scars on their faces.
Okay.
The Negroes are in general marked in the same manner as those of Timbuktu.
Right.
So here the party said 14 days to give the ransomers. Okay, it says that he distinguished Negroes from Moors. I mean, he said both of them are black, but it shows me that they were even using that caste system right then and there.
Right.
Because why would he distinguish them both? I mean, try to distinguish them from one another.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right.
When he mentions Timbuktu, Timbuktu was a place like a university, like a university.
Yeah, it was founded by the
of
Dogons.
higher learning.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what this, Europeans being accurate or not.
Right.
We've got to watch them sometime, like in the book, They Were White and They Were Slaves. The author Michael Hoffman was talking about Crispus Attucks.
Right.
And he was what he was trying to say. This is where he was trying to confuse it. This is where you got to watch these Euro authors sometimes when they try to deal with our history, and some of them are pretty, sincere when it comes to our history.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them you got to watch. Be careful of them, because what Michael A. Hoffman was trying to say is he found out that Crispus Attucks was a Nanaco Indian.
Right.
Now, a lot of those, would you say, Afrocentric
Right.
people would be thinking, I thought he was black.
Exactly.
But he was so-called black.
Exactly.
But see, what they don't know, that Nanaco Indians are Moors.
And more. Right. I.e., as they would say, black. Right.
Yeah, see,
Right.
he was telling, but I guess he was come on for whoever was reading his book,
Right.
not to know that.
Right, because historians, so-called black historians, or African American historians, would say that he was African American, and that connotation didn't come about as far as us using it on a major scale until Jesse Jackson, when he ran for president. In 1988, and by 1990, we began to start using it on a more larger scale. So that's really what happened. So we wasn't used. So why would they use wording in which that would go back to someone in which that was dealing in the 18th century?
Right.
When they know that we didn't begin to start using the word African American until the 20th century, 200 years later,
Right.
more than 200 years later, so I mean, no, come on, we have to stop that nonsense, but of course we wouldn't be thinking in that way. Oh, well, he was African American. African American. Hold up, yo. Then why is the European say he found out that he was Nanacoat, which is a Moor, Delaware Moors.
Right.
Nanacoats or Delaware Moors or Lenape. The same tribe that he was part of, right? The same tribe that he was part of, we come to find out, is the same tribe that Benjamin Banneker was part of. Benjamin Banneker or Bembe Emmanuel Muali, he was a Lenape. He was a prince of the Lenape. But then they would say he was an African prince. So this is being done purposely to hide the information from us. That's why, Brother Al.
Yeah, that's why the Albion, he said that he was Nanaco, though he was counting on a lot of us not knowing that we are the Aboriginal indigenous people here.
Right.
We had a lot of us, oh, I thought he was African. So he was African American.
Right.
So, you know.
Right. Wouldn't have a clue because they purposely are doing this.
But somebody like you and I could do any other brother and sister that learn, you know, about these things, you know, we'll catch it.
Right.
But those who are not, you know, into the what you call the Afrocentric or, you know, black and their blackness, it will go over their heads.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, so like I said, you know, it was a thing like people like people say what they call young Pharaoh.
Right.
Now that would have been passed even over his head, because he probably wouldn't have known no better.
Right. Well, that's because they're not looking at etymology. They're not going back to the basics, as Taj say. And I have to say that Taj took everybody back to basics as far as going to etymology, dictionaries, going to ancient, further back ancient texts, getting us, into going and finding out where origin of words, came from, and how long they have been used, Oxford Dictionary, so forth and so on. These are, Yafa Bey also did an excellent job getting us back into that. So, also Brother Dooley or Abdullah Mosey Bey, he is probably one of the foremost brothers in the Moorish movement, who take us back into etymology. So these three people in particular, helped us, get a grasp of, where we can go, and where these origins of these words stem from. This is something that's very important that we don't get and haven't gotten,
Yes, that's what you can say. Well, it's not new, but it's still new when it comes to the uninformed. That we are the original people here in the Americas, and not from not all of us. I put it that way. All of us didn't come on slave ships from Africa.
Right. No, they didn't.
There were some that did.
Right. About 8 to 15%. But the 85 to 92% was already here. So, that's just the math. That's just the fact of the matter. That's just what it is. I mean, there's nothing which I can say in order to help to change that to the Afrocentric or the RBG or Pan-Africanist, mind state. Yes, there was hundreds, thousands, millions of our people killed, in Africa, in the Middle Passage, but on this continent, as well as also in the Caribbean islands. And I mean, when I'm talking about this continent, I'm talking about North, Central and South America, this continent, because they're all joined together. All right, they're not separate as we would want to think. All right, and the Americana, which is the Caribbean islands or Caribbean islands. Yes, between Africa, transatlantic slave trade of the Atlantic Ocean or Ethiopian Ocean, as it was once called, according to some maps, here in what we now refer to as America or the Americas. Yes, there was, we're talking about over 100 million. All right. Dr. John Henry Clark went as high as to 200 million people that was slaughtered, that was indigenous through their ethnic cleansing policy and through their germ warfare. All right. Mm-hmm.
That's when they I don't know who it was, Euro that issued this blanket full of what was it? What did it have? What is that, syphilis or what did that?
Smallpox.
A bunch of blankets, or one eye he wiped out.
Right, smallpox.
With this smallpox.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was like, man. I said, man, they just, I mean, and they still haven't wiped us out.
Right. His name is
all that.
Right. Who you talking about is William Randolph Hearst.
Oh, okay.
Right. William
that
Hearst.
was him?
Yeah, William Hearst.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he gave it to Chief Pontiac and the Pontiac Indians, in which that is spread it throughout, spread it through crazily, from Alaska down to Peru, killing millions from those smallpox blankets. Mm-hmm.
And James got a mindset that this Euro has, man.
Right.
But let me ask you: do you think they're ever going to leave this continent, or you think they're going to stay? Because everybody talking about the peace or treaty and friendship hasn't been signed. They have to leave.
Well, I mean, Prophet Noble Ali said what? You know what the prophet?
I know he said that.
He said
2020 more.
He said that the Europeans are 3,000 miles away from their home, and you are home, brothers and sisters. Talking about the Moors. The Moors, you are at home. They are the ones who are 3,000 miles away from their home, and they're gonna have to take water back with them when they go. Okay, and that makes sense because the largest freshwater supply is here in the United States, in which that we call the Great Lakes.
Okay. So that's what they said of but also I can see some of the stuff that's going on now, even when Trump is in office.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about bringing the terror barriers. The terror barriers are that's what somebody had back in the 30s, early 30s,
right,
late 20s and early 30s. But Franklin Delano Roosevelt, he lifted those terror barriers, and that's why you have a lot of these jobs that go overseas. But the terror barriers was there, which is constitutional, was to keep the jobs here.
Mm-hmm.
So these people wouldn't do that.
Right.
So that's the first time I heard anybody talk about terror barriers since I read in the certain books about in the 20s, conspiracy books dealing with when Roosevelt lifted the terror barriers. Trump started talking about bringing them back. I'm like, whoa. I said, man, that's really kind of bringing things back, like things what it's supposed to be. I don't know what has been office for, but I think he's in there for a reason.
And explain to everyone what that is, Brother Al, for our listeners.
The terror barriers?
Right.
Yeah, the terror barriers were designed to actually to protect the American workers. It was to protect certain corporations and people like maybe like Nabisco, cookies. You know, the ones that make I think they make Oreo cookies.
Right.
And things like that. Okay, they went to Mexico. Okay, the terrorist barriers were designed to keep them from doing that. To keep all these corporations from leaving this country and going overseas and charging these people $1, you know, to make just like Nike. If the tariff barriers were still in place and enforced, Nike wouldn't be able to do none of that. None of these jobs would be able to leave this country. A lot of these jobs will still be here.
Right.
And you won't have all this massive unemployment like you have today.
Okay.
But when Franklin Delano Roosevelt took office, and I think he was inaugurated in 1933, matter of fact, the same year Hitler became Chancellor of Germany. And I don't think that's a coincidence.
No.
But anyway, he that's when he lifted the terror barriers.
Right.
That's what a lot of people thought Franklin Roosevelt was for the poor woman and man, but no, he wasn't. He was there to install a lot of this agenda,
right,
for the elite. That's all that he was doing.
Right.
You think that the Democrats and Republicans are different? No, they are not. They all have the same agenda. They are both controlled and owned by the same people.
Right. Right, y'all might be able to hear Brother Al.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Peace.
Peace.
Can I hang up my phone? I'm not hanging up my phone. Peace to everybody online. Thank you so much for bringing me on the line. Is the title of this We Are the Reptilians, Part 3?
Well, for me, it's Part 3, yeah.
Gratitude.
But I guess for you, it's Part 2. But so we're going to get it all together.
Yes. Okay.
Brother L, can you hear us? Okay, you can hear him? Okay. He's joined into the conversation now. Okay.
Oh, okay. I can start?
Yep.
All right. Peace and love to the family. This is your brother, Brother Crumb Snatcher. I actually do PowerPoints on Facebook. I post them on YouTube as well. And I do PowerPoints for anything I find interesting. And I ran across Dr. Alim El-Bey. After I did my video, We Are the Reptilians, I found out that he did a video, We Are the Reptilians. And though I covered some different information, the foundation of his information and mine were one and the same. So I took a real deep dive study into his his video, and I made a PowerPoint based off that. Now I know this blog, and you can't see it, but I can talk you through it. And basically, what I've done is channel the energy of Dr. Alim El-Bey, and I believe that anyone listening will be able to appreciate and recognize his genius through what I've done. So with that said, no hesitation. I want to start with, as far as We Are the Reptilians, part 3, this is the reptilian conception. Now, what I didn't mention in my video that I did, and I wanted to mention on this time, is that sperm oddly look like tadpoles. Keeping the conversation mature, even to the untrained eye, one can see how tadpole oddly resemble sperm. Now, when I was listening to the doctor's measure, he has spoke on sperm traveling up the spine through the chakras. Doctor, could you confirm that or keep me honest?
Yes. All right. It is in the Quran, as well as it's also in. Hold on, I'm hearing some feedback.
That's me. I'm about to mute my phone right now.
Okay, got you. All right. So when you go to the Holy Quran, there's certain chapters in there in which that speaks about life and how life came here. It speaks of black mud, and of course the black mud is carbon. Carbon being a 6th element on the periodical chart, and how carbon in links forms what we now refer to as melanin. If you look at a melanin molecule, you will see carbon all throughout it. When we get to sperm, we know that what forms sperm is your thoughts. They're actually all living thought forms. That's what sperm is. They are living thought forms, concentrations of elements, vitamins, minerals, nutrients, in which that forms in the male body. At one time, the woman had that ability also, but it has become so degraded, which, even though she still have the capabilities of producing life, at one time she was able to do it on her own by simply opening up her vaginal canal and receiving solophatic energy or solar rays from the sun. And the rays of the sun came down in the opposite chromosomal pattern of the male species. Male species is XY. The sun rays come down YX. So it was still masculine or electrical rays, and which that can spark life within the woman's womb. She still have traits of that now. This is what these tumors are. Fibroid cysts, fibroid tumors. These they have examined these under a microscope and seen hair, skin, nails. So it's production of life, but yet it wasn't activated fully because she no longer had that capability as she once did, as we was once more of an androgynous being at one time. So the sperm is a thought form, and that those rays of the sun, we come in that same likeness as those rays. So hence the rays of the sun is YX, which is electrical pole, and the male species chromosome pattern is XY. So this is why we're called SON after the SUN. So this is really what's going on. And this, if you get what's the good book? And the ancient Egyptian was showing us this science. Oh man, what's the name of the book? There's an article. It's called Flares: Cosmic Rays, Shifts in Human Consciousness. All right, and it says, as we know, we're getting bombarded by gamma rays bursts, solar flares, cosmic rays, and other magnetic influences due to the alignment with galactical plane. Many are observing the unprecedented increase in earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, along with severe weathers. What we are not seeing is how these energies affect human consciousness. But the article goes further and shows that it affects our DNA, our genetic structure. All right. So we know that the sun has a profound effect upon our DNA. Saying that because we're talking about solar-static energy and how those rays had intercourse with the woman to activate birth within her at one time. And so the male pole, of course, is the what we call the penis, the phallus. That is now the electrical pole in which that we put within the socket, as we would say, which is the vagina, in which that produces a spark life. But that production emanates from the glow of the pole, as we would say, just like the sun. Because remember, we talked about the fact that at that area, which the pole is an extension of that 2.8 missing genetic material, is not really missing. It just went into growth in other ways. So instead of internal growth to give us the ability in order to produce life as it does within the woman, it pushed it out, in which that formed elongated clitoris, which is a penis now, a phallus. That's really what it is, so that 2.8 supposedly missing genetic material is not really missing. It is what produced and actually made our ovaries fall to become testicles into a sac, and made the clitoris to grow large, in vast amount of us, to become a phallus or penis. So that's where that 2.8 genetic material went towards, was forming us, the male species, with that component. Now we know that from an androgynous being, you get hermaphrodite and hermaphrodite. And hermaphrodite is a androgynous being which happens to be more masculine, but have both genitals. But the vagina doesn't work. The penis does. The hermaphrodite is a female androgynous being, but is female in nature because the vagina works, but the penis does not work. All right. So from those two, from that androgynous split, from hermaphrodite is where we get the female species and the male species as we see today. All right. Now, I'm saying all that to put into people's minds on how we split and how we got here. I'm talking about, this is many billions of years ago. This is not just just thousands and millions of years. No, this is a long process that this took. So as I was saying, the sperm itself is a thought form. What is a thought form? Thoughts are things. Thoughts are energy. So the sperm actually is developed in the third ventricle of the brain. And from the third ventricle of the brain, the sperm, which is encased in what is called cerebral fluid, because what you find out that semen is 21% cerebral fluid. 21% cerebral fluid. So that means that it comes from the brain. That's why they say that sex happens in the brain. It does. It happens in the brain. That's where sperm originate at. So sperm comes down the spinal column, which is the Nile River. All right. So we're talking about the third ventricle, which is the same place where Jesus got baptized by John the Baptist in River Jordan. That's the cerebral fluid. All right. The sperm is sparked by the pineal gland, where the soul is embedded at, which Rene Descartes states that the pineal gland is the seat of the soul. So the soul is embedded inside of the pineal gland, and the sperm comes forth from the thoughts, because that's the mind's eye, which is the pineal gland, and the thought in which that you have is what forms the sperm based on the nutrients concentrated within your body. such as zinc in particular. All right, that's what gives the sperm that glow around its head. All right, is zinc. That's what gives when you take a picture. Sometimes your eyes glow orange or whatever the case is. That's because of zinc in the body. All right. So when the sperm now has that spark of God from the pineal gland, from the mind's eye, it now travels down as a concentration of those nutrients, vitamins, and minerals, and travels down the spinal column, which is now the Nile River, down into the Sea of Galilee, which is the prostate fluid. All right, to be then put into what we call the testicles, to be gushed forth into the woman, where the sperm now travels into the vaginal canal. All right, and that is where, as it hits the ovary, the egg of the ovary, it blows up to the equivalent size. The head of the sperm blows up to the equivalent size of the ovary, of the nucleus of the egg. And then you begin, the tail pops off. So it's no longer looking like a tadpole. Now it goes through what is called mitosis, or what is called, becomes a blastopore, in which it begins to start going through cellular division. It goes from 2 to 4 to 8. And those same 8 cells right now is what the Kundalini resonate from, called the Kunta egg, right? The Kunta egg. And that is near your prostate gland. All right. That's what that is. All right. Within the male. That is in the same area as inside the woman's vaginal canal, connected to what we refer to as the G-spot area. All right. So, and going up towards what we now refer to as the uterus, called the prostate gland, is nothing but a shrunken uterus. All right, that was once our womb. But even if you even turn the male, upside down, the woman would see a line from the anus all the way up the scrotum sac to the staff, to the base of the staff of the penis, and it looks like somebody sewed you up. All right, it looks like somebody sewed you up. That sewing up was, and if you feel right between the scrotum sac and the anus area, there's an indenture there, which is called the $1 million spot within Tantra Kriya Yoga, or Tao Sexology by Stephen Chang, if y'all get that book. But that $1 million spot is an indenture. That was once the vaginal canal for you, as you was in 3 to 6 weeks within the womb of your mother. You was female in essence. All right. After she began to start producing testosterone for you, you be changed from a female into a male species. And then that area began to start closing up, and it looks like it was sewn up. And that's how the male species began, was because of a hormonal process. And as we know, the sperm itself is androgynous. The sperm produces, is able to produce male or female. All right. So that means that it's androgynous. That means that you are still in your essence androgynous being. But it's based on hormonal things that occur around 3 to 6 weeks in the womb, that it changes, based on becoming testosterone for the male or remaining estrogen for the female. Okay.
I wanted to change this topic just a little bit slightly in terms of the reptilians. In your video, you talked about the serpent race,
right?
And you said something that really got my antenna to tweaking. You said that there's a distinction between Pharaoh and Nagu.
Right.
Could you elaborate on that for me?
Yeah. If we get this book here, Now Valley Contribution to Civilization. In this book by Anthony T. Broder, he breaks down how it wasn't until the 15th dynastic period under the Hyksos, when they came in, that the word pharaoh began to start being used, or pharaohs began to start being used for king and queen, or empress, or emperor and empress. Prior to that, when we ruled, the name for the king and queen was Nagu and Naga. All right. That becomes now the countries that we refer to as Niger and Nigeria. Niger is Nagu or Naga, and Niger is Nigeria. So Niger and Nigeria are the king and queen countries of Africa. But those were the names originally used for the pharaohs in Egypt. All right. In ancient Kemet, we still have that name. It's called Netcher. Netcher. Netcheru. Netcher becomes the word Niger or Niger, which stems from Nagas, which is Ethiopian, which is Amharic, or Geese, in which that means king also. So we see that the word Naga is in Mexico, in South America. The word Naga is in Africa, and the word Naga is in India through the Tamil people or pre-Dravidians people, now referred to as the Sudra or the Untouchables, the darker skinned people there within India. They use that, and is also in the Orient, in China and Japan. In matter of fact, World War II, they destroyed a city called Nagasaki, the city of the serpent. Nagasaki means the city of the serpents. That was ethnic cleansing. That was us. Okay.
That's deep. That's deep. If I could add value to that, I have pulled up some words of African origin that came from the word N-G-R, because there's no vowels.
No vowels.
Now, N-G-R in Egyptian equals God. N-T-Y-R, Nagash, N-E-G-A-S-H, Ethiopian king. Negus, Ethiopian emperor. Naga, East Indian, Nubian.
So the Nubians call themselves Nagas. Exactly.
Nugamarta was West African for people, council, officials. And then I want to share this as well. I had looked up on topics.com. Now, this is just a random website. This is not some more science, black power, underground network. It's just a regular website. It's called Topics. And under the article for African Americans, I found something spectacularly, unbelievably interesting. And it reads, the serpent race are the Cushites who call themselves Ophites or Ethiopians, Ethiopians, meaning the nation of the serpent. From the Greek word ethos, for nation or / people, and Ophis, Ethiophis, and it evolved to Ethiopians. The nation of the Ophites was the nation of modern Somalia and Ethiopia, and was called Ophir by the Greeks, Ophir, or Ophis was the serpent in the Greek, and the Greek that they said that these people worship. They worship the Ophis, the god of wisdom.
Exactly.
But as far as these people, are these scaly people, or are these people who have another reason for being connected to serpents?
Well, when we're looking at the serpent, we're talking about the sperm. If you look at your spinal column into the brain, and if we was able to just to take that portion out of your body, it still looks just like a sperm today. We know that the brain and the heart are the first organs that begins to start forming from in the development of the physical body. Well, the brain, once again, if you take out the brain and the 18 inches of spine, all right, or more, of the spine, actually it's 33 vertebrates on the spinal column, but at the 18th vertebrate, the heart stems from those particular 31 plus 2 nerves, which is 33 nerves. And then, of course, on top of that pole is the brain itself. So down at the bottom of the base is the Kundalini, which is your sexual energy. So your sexual energy your heart and your brain form the three areas in which that is your holy trinity for you. All right. This is also called the three treasures within Taoism, where we are able to store energy at. You're able to store energy into your lower dantian, which is 2 inches below your navel, an inch more behind your navel chakra, which correlates to the abode of your sacral bone, which is the word sacred. And then, of course, the heart, the back of the heart, you can store energy to expand the front of the heart for mercy, love, and right. And then if you want a high IQ, then you would store energy into the brain area, your third eye and crown chakra. So these areas are where these are the components of your life force, where this energy is drawn in at. All right. So melanated people, we have melanocytes, which acts as black holes. It has black hole properties. So that means just like with a black hole, as Stephen Hawking, I got to say this because he just passed. Stephen Hawking, at one time spoke of the fact that light does not escape a black hole. However, after he heard me on the radio show in 2008, when I was in London, where he was living in London, he heard me on the radio show, and I broke down that melanin has the ability to transmit energy, which is through healing. So therefore, that means that energy or light cannot be just swallowed up by black holes. That means there's also a way in order to release the light, you know. And so after I broke that down, he changed his whole theory. And he said no longer would he say that black holes would do nothing but capture light. Black holes can also transmit light. So that came through the fact of him understanding or getting an understanding or overstanding of melanin. Because melanin has the ability to absorb all the frequencies of light, whether it's heat, you know, light, sound waves, electrical waves, gamma rays, ultraviolet light, X-rays, TV, radio waves. We have infrared, microwaves. We are able to absorb all of those frequencies as melanated beings. So we know that these so-called reptilians had to look like us. They had to have been melanated to begin with, because you can absorb all the energies through melanin. There's no other way to do it. You know what I'm saying? Now, there are some, such as Reverend Valentine, Dr. Reverend Valentine L, as well as also Malachi York L, Dr. Malachi York L. Both of them said that at one time we had a green hue. All right. Now I believe that because at one time we had more magnesium in our body. Our bodies no longer produce magnesium to that extent. At the core of our cells now is iron. All right. At one time it was magnesium. All right. Our blood cells, it was iron, but now it's iron, but at one time it was magnesium. All right. So yeah. So magnesium, that gave us more of a greenish hue. And if you go to Ethiopia, or matter of fact, look at melanated babies around the world to this day, if you look at the small area of the back, right above the buttocks, you will see a greenish patch. That greenish patch or tint is what used to have, our whole body used to be that color at one time. But we began to lose it because of, as when iron and water mix, it rusts. So we turned brown, you know, but that was still a good thing because iron has the capability of being able to be an amplifier with copper. Just like electrical circuits, you know, they have iron and they have copper. So that's an amplifier. Well, we have been amplified. All right. We've been amplified. So iron and copper works very well for amplification. This is what actually give us our various colors or hues of our auric field. all right, which of course the colors of the auric field in the visible spectrum ranges from Roy G. Biv, or red, orange, yellow, green, light blue, indigo, and violet. All right, so same colors of the rainbow, but you got it within your chakra system or shinkaras or ritus, all right, in which that are called your endocrine gland systems, you know, your endocrine glands. So this is really what this is talking about. And your pineal gland absorbs energy through your crown, through your solar phatic. This solar phatic energy is absorbed through your antennas, your hair follicles, which is of course 9, 8, 7 ether, 6 ether. It absorbed through your hair into your pineal gland. Your pineal gland acts as a step down transformer of this electromagnetic energy to the pituitary gland to the thyroid, parathyroid glands. And your parathyroid glands used to be your gills. I won't get into that right now. In which that goes down into your thymus gland, into your spleen, pancreas, into your adrenal glands, as well as also the testes, and the prostate gland for the male. For the woman, the uterus and the ovaries. All right, so those are your major endocrine glands in your body, in which that acts as a step down transformer to this electromagnetic energy. All right, so this is how we're talking about the reptilians, is at the base of your spine, in your in what is called a downward triangular shaped bone, which is right above the coccyx, the tailbone area, which some people are still born with tails to this very day because of a degeneration of cells or of cellular structure in which that took place, mutations in which that took place, and mixing of various animals. I won't get into that science right now, but that bone, that's triangular structured bone, is where the Kundalini and those 8 dividing cells of mitosis stems from. That's where they're located at. All right. And from those 8 dividing cells is what we call Kundalini, the Kunda egg. All right. And it's just like Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall, you know what I'm saying, and got all cracked up. You're supposed to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Symbolically, that is talking about just like the 14 pieces of Osar being put back together again. Auset is that Ossetian energy, which is the Kundalini, the mother goddess principle that resonate at the at that sacral bone. That's why it's sacred, at that sacral bone area. It is she who awakens. You have to awaken her through mudras and through sudras and through mantras. In other words, through hakaus, or through what is called hesi, which is sounds and words of power, and particular postures and movements. You have to awaken her that way. And as she is awakened, all right, this is why sex is one of the most powerful things, because through sex you can awaken Kundalini. All right, so as she, that Ossetian force, Osset, is now awakened, she can now go through the 7 caves or caverns, as is said within the book of Coming Forth by Day and Night, misnomer Book of the Dead. She went through 7 caves and she found the body parts of Osiris. Well, this is talking about the 7, it's talking about your chakras. And as she go up the chakras into the 7th, and she kissed the 7th one, which is the pineal gland, the Kundalini hits the pineal gland. The pineal gland cements, not calcifies. There's a difference. Cement is because these are magnetic sand-like particles that is 144,000 crystal-like particles that is around the pineal gland, like a lens of an eye, or lens, because actually that is your eye. That is another eye. That's how you're able to see into a whole new world, or apparent reality is with that eye at night. All right. So that eye cements, and it becomes the crystal city or crystal palace, which is mentioned within the book of Revelations. All right. And from that crystal palace, you are able to see the many mansions in which that God speaks of that is in the heavens. In my Father's house, there are many mansions. If they were not so, I wouldn't have told you. This is what Jesus said. So these many mansions talking about the different dimensions that you're able to travel into. If you go into, what's his name? Richard Hoagland, if you go to hyperdimensional space in quantum physics, they have found 27 dimensions. They have found 27 dimensions. So that means that your pineal gland is able to go and reach into all those various dimensions. All right. And they understand this. They understand this. All right. So this is something that we have to realize too, how special we are, you know, as these particular alignments occur and these things take place. Now, as far as a reptilian, you know, as far as we know that allegedly there was dinosaurs that was on this planet. All right. Some say there weren't, but based from all accounts, we seen ancient. There's in South America, Mexico, we seen designs and of clay designs of various animals in which that had to have been some type of dinosaurs that we refer to them as now. All right. But there is science now saying, what if there were quote unquote dinosaurs who was actually humanoid? All right.
That's deep.
This is what they're saying. No, this is what they're actually saying. PhDs are saying this. All right. Now, I've personally seen people eyes slit. All right.
All right.
So I understand about the reptilian and with his idea in which that David Icke is talking about. But we understand that these are emotional responses that takes place in the reptilian portion of the brain. How we know this is because on The View, President Barack Obama was on The View, and he said that because people have this mentality of separatism, racism, he said, this is what he said now, he said this happens because of people reptilian brain. Now, this is President Barack Obama on The View talking about the reptilian brain and how it caused separatism. And he said that the vast amount of people still operate from this reptilian portion of their brain. And this is what causes the racism and the separatism and all these types of things. This is what he said. Wow. And I understood what he meant by that. And he's absolutely correct. All right. So once the Kundalini passes the reptilian portion of the brain into what is called, we refer to as the amphibious or limbic portion of the brain, into the neo portion of the neo mammal portion of the brain, which is the new brain, where the neocortex and the frontal lobes are located at, that is the new brain. So once the Kundalini energy get there, and this is why the Egyptian showed you with the snake coming up over the top of the head and coming back down here over the frontal lobes and the cortex, the neocortex area of the brain, to show you that now you have access to all portions of your brain. No longer just using 10% linear thinking of the brain, but now access to both hemispheres of the brain. The left and the right has now both been synergized, and the meeting between the two, which is now your Adam and your Eve, and the serpent in the garden, has now all come back together. But the serpent is no longer walking on the dust of is no longer on the dust of the ground, but now is back with walking legs once again. This is what this is symbolic to. This is what Eve was talking about, that the serpent beguiled me and told me that I would become like one of the gods, because when the Kundalini comes here to the pineal gland, once it goes over the top of the head and comes back to this portion, is no longer at the reptilian, is no longer at the base of the spine, it's not at the reptilian portion of the brain, it's not at the limbic portion of the brain, but it's at the new mammal or the new cortex or frontal lobe of the brain, which is the higher mind, the higher developed mind. It's not the lower mind. You have now mastered the higher mind with Kundalini. So now you have gone into a whole new realm, and we know that Credo Moutoir, who really taught David Icke the science of the reptilian agenda, he speaks about how he's seen and smelt the what he called it, the Chitahari. That's what he referred to them as, the Chitahari, the reptilians. He said that they are not aliens, as many people say they are. He said that they are from Earth. All right. He said they are sexually compatible with our women. That means they have to be human. You can't be sexually compatible unless you're a human. You're in the human family. Now there are some people who have negative blood type, in which that you have to be given, you know, if majority of everybody on the planet, 85% everybody on the planet is positive blood type. They're trying to say that that's monkey blood type, but it's not. All right, but and then they trying to say that the negative blood type, in particular O negative blood type, is the outer world, or the out of world type of DNA or genetics, or or blood type. But this is what he said. He said that they are from Earth and that they are sexually compatible with our women, thus making them Earthlings too, and are part of us, our genetics. And this makes them all more dangerous, as they know us so well. Now, this is what Credo Moutoir said. All right. So he explains it a way in which that David Icke did not explain it. But David Icke got everybody thinking, oh, they aliens. They came from outer space. They came from the Draco constellation. And, well, what if in the Bible it tells you that there was angels who fell to earth and who got cast into the earth, and that was their prison for a time? This is in the book of Enoch. It speaks to this.
Whoa.
This is in the book of Enoch. So what if that is really what they're talking about? Those who got cast into the earth. All right, these are the beings. Cause Alex Carlular, he spoke on the reptilians. He said that that there's a reptilian class system hierarchy in which that discriminations are made between beings by rank, from royals to the workers and slaves, common to most negative ET systems. All right, this is what he's saying. However, we go a little bit further, because we know that him, David Icke, even Dr. York, they speak about the external, things. But I'm more into the internal, because me thinking about going to find one to prove it, as compared to me raising Kundalini, which is called the serpentine fire, the inner reptilian is more important to me, because I can't necessarily prove, a reptilian running around per se, but I can prove this energy inside my body, and how it can be activated and so forth and so on. So that's what I can prove. But there are scientists that are saying certain things, and I do have to say it. It says, let me find one of the scientists here. One of his names, let me see. He's all right. There's a good book. It says the dinosaur heresies, the dinosaur heresies by Robert T. Baker, PhD. All right, that's the name of the book, the dinosaur heresies. And it says the new theories unlocking the mystery of the dinosaurs and their extinction. Robert T. Baker, that's Bakker, PhD. Right, he's one of the individuals. Also, Carl Sagan spoke about it. It's called the Dragons of Eden. Before he died, he spoke about it. All right. And he's a Pulitzer Prize winner, Carl Sagan. They love to talk about Dr. Carl Sagan, but he wrote a book called The Dragons of Eden. He said if the dinosaur had not all been mysteriously extinguished some 65 million years ago, would the Saurus nephoid, had continued to evolve into increasingly intelligent forms. So he's talking about a Saurius Nephitides, which is a particular dinosaur. He said, if they would have survived 65 million years, would they have evolved into an increasingly intelligent forms? This is what he says in the book. All right. So in his Dragons of Eden, Carl Sagan is talking about the possibilities of a dinosaur evolving into an intelligent being. All right.
All right.
Now you have the Troodon and the Dinosaurus. All right. In early 1980s, the American paleontologist Dr. Dale Russell suggested that he had dinosaurs survive the big brain bipedal bird-like Troodon, who with grasped in hands might have given rise to an intelligent and human-like descendant like the Dinosaurus. Now these, once again, these are coming from doctors, PhD. All right. So they talk about Malachi York and how he's crazy, but damn, hold up, Carl Sagan, he ain't crazy for saying the same thing. You see? All right. So here's another book, Dr. Arthur David Horn, Humanity's Extraterrestrial Origins. All right. ET influences on humankind, biological and cultural evolution. Dr. Arthur David Horn. All right. Now, this is coming from European sources, but of course, Creed Moutoir, spoke about all these different types of things, and and people still can't fathom or grasp or put their hands around it. But I'm right down the street in North Carolina, hold on a second, let me get my plug. Where's the plug at? All right. Let's see. All right, so let me take this off. Bam. All right, so this is something else that was said. It says, and this was a brother. His name is Christopher Davis. He encountered the lizard man of Bishopville on June 30th, 1988. Now, this is a brother. You can look him up. Christopher Davis, Davis. And this is where the lizard man of South Carolina comes from. All right. This is in Columbia News, August the 15th, 1988. It says the lizard man, South Carolina's answer to Bigfoot. Okay. This was an actual article. Now, he wasn't the first one to begin to start talking about this lizard man, though. All right. There's reports of the Kentucky lizard man. It says reports in this category began in the 1950s, as most notable in 1955 when a report from the Ohio River near Evansville, Indiana, where a creature left a green handprint on a swimmer's leg. Older reports indicate reptilian, devil, 10 feet tall with glowing red eyes in the 1940s in Ohio Valley. And reports occurred throughout the area in Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, on both sides of the river. Similar sit-ins and experiences have been reported in Oklahoma and Texas Panhandle area. Even coming out of Kentucky in the 1970s, some reported an older, and the native traditions are even older. Many Native Americans say that their ancestors originally came from underground, from inside the earth. From inside the earth. This is what the Apache say, the Navajo say in their traditions. They all say the same thing. All right. So there's similar traditions both in South America, where the movie The Creature from the Black Lagoon was supposedly had come from, and in Florida where it was actually filmed. All right. So I'm just giving out these little clues. Now you can get for the lizard man, this Chris Davis, as I'm telling you about, he was 17 years old at the time when this happened. He stopped and he was changing a flat tire at night. All right. And even the Bishopville lizard man story was reported on CBS News during that time period. Stories was also printed in the Los Angeles Times, the Charlotte Observer, and the Herald Examiner and Time Magazine. So serious investigators went to go find out what was going on with this lizard man scenario. All right. So this isn't right. So this isn't something new. Malachi didn't come up with this. Crematory didn't just come up with this. This has been reported by people all over the world and here in various counties and various states. You know, there was also in 1988 there was an Army Corps of Engineers. His name was Colonel Robert Cooper, and he encountered the lizard man in Bishopville in South Carolina. All right. I think I'm back on. All right, yeah, there we go. All right. Let me see what's going on with this one, because now all of a sudden this one is acting up. All right, but these are just some of the stories about this so-called lizard man. So there are quote unquote reptilian dinosaurus type of creatures. There's no doubt about it, who mixed in with the human bloodline. But the thing is that we had to evolve from them, obviously, for us to be able to do that, for us to be sexually compatible. There's no way that that could have happened, because you can't mix a damn a donkey and a mule. You know what I'm saying? You know, so the thing is that as a matter of fact, a horse and a horse and a donkey make a mule, and a mule is sterile.
It's sterile.
Right, and it's sterile. So a mule can't do nothing. Okay, can't make nothing. So that means that there had to have been compatibility somewhere, just like Credo Mutoir spoke about. So I don't take that out of hand, you know what I'm saying? But the reptilian that I'm concerned about is the internal reptilian force, which is the most important to me. You know.
I agree. And I think that would be a beautiful segue, because in your measure that I saw in the classroom setting, you had talked about Kundalini energy, and you gave some information saying that it was 6,000 degrees even at the base, at the left base of the spine, and I looked that up. So, well, the other information you had shared, you had said that the core of the Earth was 6,000 degrees, and I have found that on natureworldnews.com, the headline reads, "Earth's core temperature a hellish 6,000 degrees Celsius."
Exactly.
Then you also said that the surface of the sun is 6,000 degrees as well. And I had referenced scientificamerican.com, and the headline reads, "I read that the sun's surface temperature is about 6,000 degrees centigrade."
Right.
And what really had got me when you were talking about this energy, even from an internal perspective exclusively, that if we raise this high temperature energy, it could lead to spontaneous human combustion. And I want you to talk about that, but I wanted to just read this little thing I had here. Right. It said for 300 years, there have reportedly been over 200 cited cases of mysterious, rare phenomenon that kills people. One in which the body is said to ignite by itself and burn its victims alive, yet mostly leaves their surroundings alone. What causes spontaneous human combustion?
Right. Well, what causes it is Kundalini rising within individuals who have calcified pineal glands. Dr. Richard King, MD, he's told us that 5 to 15% of Africans have calcified pineal glands. 20 to 35% Asians have calcified pineal glands. But 60 to 80% Europeans have calcified pineal glands. In the book, Spontaneous Human Combustion, written by Jenny Randalls, she makes this statement that it has never occurred in Black people. That spontaneous mankind, she has no reports of it ever occurring in African people. All right.
That's deep.
She said it has happened. Most of the cases that she studied, it was all on Europeans. All Europeans.
My apologies, doctor. What book were you referring to that said 5 to 15 percent?
That is in African origin of biological psychiatry by Dr. Richard King. African origin of biological psychiatry.
By Richard King, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I wanted to point out, Richard King. Okay, I'm just taking some notes. As you can see, I'm probably your biggest fan at this point. Is going on the line of fanatics. So definitely a fanatic. So another thing you had said in terms of this fire, you had quoted Jeremiah chapter 20 verse 9, saying it's like a fire shut up in my bones.
Right. Exactly, and that's what it is. That's why it's called serpentine fire. It is a fire shut up in the bones, because when you illuminate the Ida and the Pingala, which are the two sacral nerves, also there's a third one, which is called the Shoshona, which is in a hollow area in the middle of the 31 nerves. There's a hollow area in the spinal column, which is called the Shoshona. And when that is activated along with the two nerves, the Kundalini is now able to come up. And as it comes up, it goes and burns through what is called etheric threads through each chakra. Each chakra has it's like a nexus of nerves, but there's etheric nerves or etheric threads, I should say, that is part of that nexus of nerves, and it has to burn through each one to go through each chakra. All right, so that it can go up into the Holy of Holies, which is into the head area, the king dome, as they refer to it as, or as we call it, the dome piece.
Ooh, the king dome. I like that. Okay, I had to write that down. King dome. The other thing that you were saying after we had got out of that fire was you had brought up the point of 19.5.
Right.
You were saying that the Sphinx sits at the center of the earth at 19.5 degrees on the Giza Plateau. And you also said that on the other side of the earth at 19 degrees were the Hawaiian Islands. And I pulled up an actual world map of major chakras and vortexes, and it aligned with what you were saying. There's major chakra portals at the Giza Plateau and at Hawaii. But one thing you destroyed my mind when you had said that if you put a Merkaba or a star tetrahedron on planet Jupiter, there will be a concordant for that red spot, what they call a red storm, where the star tetrahedron intercepts this planetary sphere.
Right.
And the reason I brought that up is because you have really brought my attention to these energy plumes that come out of different planets, or not even just planets, but things at 19.5. Right. Now, it also comes out of one of Jupiter's moons. I don't know the name of this moon. One of the moons looks like the Death Star from Star Wars, but this particular moon, I don't remember the name of it. But there's an energy plume that comes out of 19.5. So not only
Europa. Is it Europa? Is it called Europa?
Oh, you're good. You are good. Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're right in the exact.
Mm-hmm.
Hats off. Hats off. The other thing I want to point out is when I was looking up your 9.5, I never heard that anywhere else. Let me just say that. I never heard that anywhere else. So when I was looking up your 9.5, as far as where these energy vortexes are at on the planets, or just different energy centers, I found the Martian Sphinx, because we know that, as you mentioned, the Sphinx was at 19.5 on the map, and that was an energy vortex. And if you put a star tetrahedron, or what we call a Merkaba there, you'll see that exact point is where energy is coming out of. Well, I found that the Martian Sphinx on Mars, it sits at 19.5 degrees north latitude by 33 degrees west longitude. So not only is it a picture of something that resembles a Sphinx on Mars, the coordination line up with the Mars here. I'm sorry, excuse me, with the Sphinx here on our planet. And the last thing, before I pass the mic back, I wanted to point out that blew my mind was when you said that the 19.5 also reveals itself right above the crack of our behind, because there's an energy vortex there.
Right.
Why is this important? Because that particular energy vortex is where that Kundalini energy sits.
Right.
It's half asleep, wrapped around that sacral bone 3 times.
That's right. That's right.
Please, if you could talk about the 19.5.
Right. So of course, if you look at a tetrahedron or a 6-pointed star configuration, which symbolizes as above, so below, at each point we find at 19.5 degrees north and at 19.5 degrees south, there sits a rise of energy. All right. And this rise of energy at 19.5 degrees south is Kundalini. So as the Kundalini comes up, because there's an upswelling of energy always at 19.5 degrees. This is what in hyperdimensional physics have found out, that on every, if you took a 6-pointed star configuration and overlaid it on each planet at 19.5 degrees on every planet, there will be an upswelling of energy. That was done on the sun, and at that area, there's upswelling of energy. That's where the massive solar flares come from. And the sunspots, all these things takes place right there. On Earth, it was there on the Giza Plateau. It's also in the Hawaiian Islands. All right. Matter of fact, that's why that area of the Hawaiian Islands was called Lemuria. All right, that was Lemuria at one time. The Hawaiian Islands is a remnants of that. This is why Maui is the capital of Hawaii, and it's called Maui, which is Mu, M-U. All right, M-A-U-I actually is M-U, Mu. All right, so Mu, which is short for Lemuria, is now Hawaiian Islands, and that's where the upswelling of energy. This is why you have major volcanic activity that took place there in the Hawaiian Islands. All right, because of the upswelling of energy. You put it on Mars at the area of Sedona, which is the site that you talk about where the Sphinx head is. It sits at 19.5 degrees. There's an upswelling of energy. On Jupiter, where there's a red dot, as they say, with its massive collection of storms, which is larger than the Earth itself, these storms takes place there on Jupiter, in which that there's an upswelling of energy. And every single planet they have seen in hyperdimensional physics at 19.5 degrees. And the Quran speaks about 19, that 19 angels are over it. All right. This is what in the Quran is spoke about. The Quran speaks about 19 angels or angles of light is over it. Angels symbolize angles of light. So there's 19 angles of light, 19 angels over it. And it's talking about those 19.5 degrees. All right. In particular. So it comes from out the Quran. The Quran gave us a hint to the 19, number 19. There was a guy by the name of Rashid, and he back in the 1980s translated the Holy Quran and showed us how the Holy Quran was based on the number 19. All right, so the Holy Quran is based on the number 19. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is based on the number 19. You know what I'm saying? That's the number 19. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, 19. All right. La ilaha illallah, 19. So it goes on and on. The whole thing is decoded in the number 19, showing that the Holy Quran is based on that, showing that it symbolized the upswelling of energy. This book symbolizes that upswelling of energy. That's why they have 2 billion Muslims on the planet Earth, which now rivals Christianity. All right. But of course, us as metaphysicians, soon we'll conquer both.
Facts.
Because at least we can explain what's in their books as they cannot. That's the problem.
Now, the other thing you were talking about with this upswelling of energy at the 19.5 is once it goes all the way up to the pineal gland. And then
that's 19, right? That's 19.5 degrees now north, which is now at the pineal gland, which produces another upswelling of energy, which is the resurrection of Osar. Because once Osset marries, the divine marriage in heaven takes place with Osar. When the Kundalini hits the pineal gland, which is where the soul is, it awakens the soul from the body, and now the soul becomes Heru, which is the reincarnated or the reawakened aspect of Osar. Once again, this is what the whole story of Osar, Set, and Heru was talking about in the Book of Coming Forth by Day and Night, the Open of the Mouth ceremony, or misnomer the Book of the Dead by E.A. Wallace Budge.
The other thing you were saying was, okay, with that when you were just saying the 19.5 north is when it gets all the way up to the pineal gland.
Right, right.
And you were saying in your video, this is the, once it reaches the top going and finally goes back down, this is the eternal, timeless, everlasting principle of a person who's mastered the Kundalini energy from the base of their spine to the top of their head and back again, i.e. regeneration of light or life within oneself.
Right.
Or what we call the Ouroboros.
Right, the Ouroboros, right. Which is shown to us now. You have secret societies such as Madame Blavatsky's, the Theosophical Society, who took that symbol, and now you can see that as part of her truth symbol of the Theosophical Society. However, that is an ancient Egyptian symbol of the serpent biting its tail, which is called a Ouroboros, which we get now a Ouroboros, which is the northern lights, the southern lights. All right, when we look at the northern lights and southern lights, the northern lights is called the Ouroboros lights, the lights of Borealis. So, so even in that regard, it's talking about the serpent biting its tail, and the serpent biting its tail is talking about reincarnation, or better yet, regeneration, revitalization, rejuvenation, re-energize. All of these things is talking about the serpent biting its tail. That's what it's symbolic to. And it's in Taoism, when you go and study Taoism, Qigong, or Tai Chi, you want what is called a macrocosmic orbit, is when you take your tongue and place it up at the roof of your mouth behind your two front teeth. And when you pull up your anal muscles, you have what is called from the perineum, which is between the scrotum sac, which is that indenture, which used to be the vaginal canal for the male, but now it is a small indenture. That is what is known as the perineum. From the perineum, which right above the perineum is your prostate gland, which is a shrunken uterus for the male, which now helps with the manufacturing of the sperm. So we still make life, but it's on a spermicide way of looking at of us producing life. But as it goes up, the energy Kundalini Shakti goes up to the top of the head and comes back down towards this area right here, right below the nose, where the Ida and the Pingala is activated. The left is the Ida, the right is the Pingala. What happens now is that is called the governing vessel or channel. Once it gets here to the nose, it takes over and becomes the conceptual or functional channel, and it comes back down the center mass of the body, back down to the perineum again. So up, down, and by your tongue being up at the mouth, behind your two front teeth, and you're pulling up your anal muscles, you connect both of those currents, and it becomes now one cycle. That is the serpent biting its tail. That is the governing and the conceptual channel or vessel in which that now circulates and produce that regeneration. All right. And so that is when you activate Kundalini Shakti energy, which is that magnetic energy, the electromagnetic energy, you can circulate it. And that is the channel that it circulates through. All right. And the more that it circulates through those two channels, the more that it produces what is known as the 6 meridians on your left side and the 6 meridians on your right side, those 12 meridians. All right. So once again, you get that 1 and then those 12, hence the 13, hence Jesus and his 12 disciples again, just like the pineal gland, and the 12th pair of cranial nerves that sits around the pineal gland. So that is Jesus and his 12 disciples, King Arthur and his 12 knights at the round table, or as we said, Jesus and his 12 disciples at the Last Supper. All right, the sun and his 12 zodiac signs, all of that correlates. Okay,
That's powerful. I wanted to switch the topic just a little bit because I know that everybody's talking about how Stephen Hawking has passed today, which is very controversial because today is March 14th.
right.
Pi 3.14.
Right, exactly, right.
You know, but nonetheless, we're going to move on because we're going to get to March 17th, and it's going to be St. Patrick's Day.
Right. And then you know he passed his 76. 76 is what? Is 13. Right. 76 is 13. Right.
Oh.
And then 1 plus 3 is 4. So 3, 1, 4 once again.
Now, I also wanted to mention, if you look into his condition, he had ALS. Did you know that? The disease everybody was doing a bucket challenge for?
Right, the bucket challenge, right.
I was telling everybody, like, look, I'm not going to do the bucket challenge because I don't know nobody got ALS.
Right.
We got high blood pressure, diabetes, we got everything, but nobody got no ALS. The reason I bring that up is because not only is the number one demographic for ALS the Caucasian male old man, but upon being diagnosed, you don't live typically more than 4 years after that. I think the longest person who lived with ALS was like 7 years. Now this dude, he done live, well, probably like 15. This dude done lived 20. He done broke the record of the longest person who has ever lived with ALS.
Right.
I find that to be very suspect. And then when you see these pictures of him, they look really different. He lives on a tube, but he's gotten fat somehow. Right. Nonetheless, if I could go into your boy St. Patrick.
Right. All right. So, St. Patrick, he ran the snakes from out of Ireland. The snakes was called the adders. Well, we come to find out that if you read Ancient and Modern Britons, volume 1 and 2 by David McRitchie, he explains what that means. The adders were the Twa people, the small so-called Africans. And they was ran out by St. Patrick out of Ireland because they was the original people in Ireland. Just like the Twa people are the original people around the world. If you go to the islands or the Pacific Islands, they were the original people in the Pacific Islands. They was called the Negritos. All right, the little small niggas. All right, you come here to America, in Mexico, you can go and look at the Mayans and the Aztecs and all of them. They was 4 feet tall people. They was Negritos. They was Twa people. You can go to Africa, where they still exist to this very day in Rwanda and down that's a matter of fact, they was part that they was one of the ones who was watching the Watusis and the Hutus kill each other under the CIA influence. The Twa people was there. All right, and so they dwell in that area. You can go into, so they've been. At one time, the Chinese and the Japanese, they was short. They was 4 feet tall people. All right. They just started getting tall because they been eating McDonald's and shit. All right, here. But when they first came over here, they was only about 4 feet tall. You know what I'm saying? They was less than 5 feet tall over here in America when they first came. I remember about 40, 50 years ago. You know what I'm saying? They was short people, so they got tall all of a sudden the regular size as everyone else because they eating the same foods, you know, steroids and preservatives and chemicals and fungicides, herbicides, pesticides, you know, all these things. But they spread out more than anyone else at one time around the whole planet. If you get this book called the ancient the gods, it says the ancient gods of the West. It's by Raymond Drake. The book is by Raymond Drake. He says in it that the Twa people, the Pygmies, been on Earth over 30 million years. He says that. So this is before the Neanderthal. This is before the Australopithecus. This is before any of these so-called strange Charles Darwin ape theories, because the apes only went back to, the apes is no older than 20 million years old. All right. And the monkey is only 40 to 50 million years old. So they was already people on this planet before then. So they trying to make us look like we just came here miraculously, you know, 300,000 years ago, based on Zachariah's ascension theory of the Anunnakians coming down and creating man. And the first men that they created was the black-headed ones, in which that becomes the Lulus or the Amalulu, who are the created people, you know, but they don't never speak about the Tamahu. Amazing. They talk about the Lulu, but they don't never speak the Tamahu. All right, I'll leave that for another time. but one was already here, one was made. All right. Same way that we make them now, test tube babies, cloning, and so forth and so on. The same with manipulation of genes is the same thing in which that was taking place on this planet. We was doing all types of things because we've been on here so long. You know, we had a habit, just like children, messing with things until we learn not to mess with things. All right, that's basically, there's nothing new under the sun, as the Bible says. All right, that's what it is. We think it's new. You know, we think that all this little technology that we got right now is so far advanced, but really, you know, when you go to the walls of ancient Egypt, to Seti I on the walls of Abydos, right up in the upper beam, you'll see helicopters, submarines, hovercrafts, all different types of things right there on the upper beam in Abydos, in the temple of Seti I. So we're not the only. This is not technology that we're just getting. This is old school stuff. We think that it's new school. You know what I'm saying? Yep. You know, but it's not. You know, it's not. It's not. It's been done before. All right,
Doctor. That first book you had mentioned that broke down the Adder people being the 12. What book was that? I think you said by Richard somebody.
Ancient and Modern Britain by David MacRitchie. MAC capital RITCHIE. David MacRitchie. Volume 1 and volume 2. He breaks it down in there.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention was, you know, because when we're dealing with the 12 people, there was this misunderstanding, or I guess degradation, stereotype, I don't know what you may call it, but they called them leprechauns. Right. Now, St. Patrick, he, you know, within his exile of the snakes, you know, they make it look so pure, with him just pointing his finger and saying get out, but the reality was that he really killed over 200,000 African people and established the church at that point. And you know, one thing you were saying in your video was that the 12 people dealt with advanced meditation, and this is the illumination of the serpent energy, where you would even see a halo over their head because they're generating so much energy. Right. But you know, this was considered to be evil in some way, shape, or form. And you know, thus they ran this biblical edict to, you know, kill these people, and him being the leader of that Salem witch hunt, they canonized him because of that. But just to kind of give some history on the, you know, what that was as far as the backstory, being that we're about to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, and all of us going to be Irish. We're gonna have the black people out here being looking Irish,
and we're gonna have green on,
whatever.
Right.
But with the Irish, with the leprechauns, we know that they're famous for the rainbow.
Right. Right.
And you know, again, when we're dealing with the rainbow, we're dealing with that serpent energy, because we always are going to connect that serpent energy or the rainbow with these chakras, the red being the root, orange being sacral, yellow being solar, heart being green, throat being baby light blue, third chakra being indigo, and then the crown or wisdom chakra being violet. And of course, when all of these energies synchronize, when you get your aurora boreas, you're going to see the color gold, which is going to appear as what you would call a halo or helio, or from what I learned in your video, sun or holy. And this serpentine energy, because of these colors, is even in Australia called the rainbow serpent. So I just wanted to add that, if you wanted to add anything else to the portion about the 12 people according to St. Patrick's Day.
Right. Well, there's several books I would recommend, and basically they're all written by Albert Churchward. Right. If you get his books, Albert Churchward. All right.
Okay.
His brother James Churchward, both of them were students of a man by the name of Gerald Massey. All right, both of them were students of Gerald Massey. Now, Albert Churchward said some fascinating things concerning the 12. All right. He said they are the oldest people on earth. That's number one. All right. That's what Albert Churchward said. He goes further and he says that not only are they the oldest, that them and their ascendants, the Nubians, all right, who we call the Ethiopians or Abyssinians, are the first ones to develop religion. All right. He said they're the first one to develop religion. All right. Also, the Masonic system that is now being used, he said it comes from them.
You said Masonic?
The Masonic, yes. The Masonic archetype, all right, comes from them. All right. And the book was called Gods. Hold up, there's another book. That's why I was telling you, Gods and Spacemen in the Ancient West. I said the ancient gods in the ancient West, but it's gods and the spacemen in the ancient West. And Raymond Drake said that the Twa people or the Pygmies inhabited Earth for 30 million years. Now, The Origin and Evolution of Primitive Man by Albert Churchward. This is the book that he says that that they was the first people. He said, but they was not only the first people in Africa, but he said they were the first people in Europe, Asia, North and South America, and Oceania, which is the Pacific Islands. He said they was populated by them. All right. He said he was the first, the little red man of Earth from the Pygmies, evolved. Evolution continued progressively into the following order. Next would have been the Bushmen, the Mesaba Negro, the Neolithic Negro, the Maasai, and the Mongolians, and then the so-called Europeans or Aryans. They was the last. So everybody else came before the Europeans, and he mixed this in the book, The Origin and Evolution of Primitive Man, Albert Churchward. All right. He said they was the first men he said this first man was the little pygmy. His descendants are still found in many different parts of the world, in South America, China, Malay, New Guinea, and probably other places, but the majority are still living in Africa, where his original home was and is, near and around the Great Lakes at the head of the Nile. All right, this is what he said. Now you can get the book also, The Hidden Life in Freemasonry by C.W. Ledbetter. All right, now C.W. Ledbetter was part of the Theosophical Society. And he says that at one time, he says that pygmy race is a relic of the old Lemurians and represents them more purely than any other people. All right. He said the Lemurians at one time was a gigantic people, but in process of dying out, they diminished in size. The African Bushmen are also remnants of the same race, but were very mixed blood. And the same thing is also true of who were usually called the Australian Aborigines, except in their case, there is very light admixture of Aryan blood. At one time, the Pygmies were spread out over a great deal more of Africa than at present, and some of them were the first people to enter Egypt. So this is where you get the best statue from. All right, the best statue, the little best. All right, that was the statue of them, and this is why the Egyptians showed that, because they show you that the Pygmies was the first people on the planet and the first people in Egypt. As I showed you, they was also the first people in those various areas, which is all around the world, and we are their descendants. All right, Signs and Symbols of Primordial Man by Albert Churchward. He says this: the Pygmies are the original and the oldest living people on the face of the earth. Point blank. He says it just like that. He says they're also known as the Anu. What happened?
Okay.
How could they be the Anu if Anu was an Anunnaki who came in Sumeria and came from out the skies? But yet the Pygmies was called the Anu people, the Twa, the Anu people. But he goes on, he said they invented much of the early hieroglyphic writing used in ancient Egypt. So the hieroglyphics came from the oldest people on the face of the earth, the Pygmies, the Twa people, the Anu people. And he says by 4000 BC, they probably invented the precursor to cuneiform. Cuneiform is written from what? Mesopotamia. Cuneiform or cuneiform. That is where you get Chinese and Japanese script now. It came from cuneiform, but that came from the Pygmies, from the Twa people. He says 4000 BC, which would be 6000 BC, 6,000 years ago. He says they invented the cuneiform of writing of Mesopotamia.
That's power. That's power.
Right. And that was in his other book, The Origin and Evolution of Religion by Albert Churchward. There's another book called The Ruins of Empires, written by Count C. Vani. And he says that all religions originated in Africa. The Ethiopians consider themselves, said Theodorus, a Greek historian, to be of the greater antiquity than any other nation. They suppose themselves also to be the inventors of divine worship, of festivals, of solemn assembly, of sacrifices, and every other religious practice known to man. Then even later, Dr. Breasted, famous Egyptologist, he maintained that the Ethiopians were the first to give religious thought and aspiration to the world. So we find this over and over again. You get the book Missing Pages of History and What They Never Told You in History Class and Sex and Race by J.A. Rogers. But Missing Pages of History and What They Never Told You in History Class was by Indu Kemet Kush. Indu Kemet Kush. He says the same things in those particular books. Everything is in there. When you go to Sex and Race Volume 1, 2, and 3 by J.A. Rogers.
J.A. Rogers.
In the Volume 1, he breaks it down how everything came from us anyway. And this is what these are Europeans saying this. Count CF or Count Vani was European. Albert Churchward, European. Gerald Massey, European. C.W. Ledbetter, Europeans.
One thing you had spoke about was Anunnaki. You did bring it up, so I guess we got to deal with it.
Right.
I had seen my brother had quote you on Facebook, and I was impressed because it was the same exact quote I quoted you on. If your energy is on high, then you are the Anunnaki. And you had broke it down into two words: Anu, which means on high, and Naki, which means serpent. And I know you can elaborate on this, and you can go into great detail. I just want to share one thing before I pass the mic back. I went to names.org, and on names.org, I had looked up the meanings. Now, they say that they don't know the origins of not only the word Anaki, Anaki, but they said that it was equivalent to the word Nyoke, Nyoke. It was equivalent to the word Anaki. It was equivalent to the word Nakiel. So I see all these derivatives. Now, the reason I pulled up these different derivatives because these were the names that you had given, right. Saying that they all had meant the same thing. Right. I just find it uncanny that when I had looked, because I had never looked, besides Anunnaki on some spooky mess, right. I never looked at it from a scholastic point of view. And when I had looked behind you, I saw that all these names that you had mentioned all had correlated with Anunnaki. Right. Also, Nyoke is Nigerian tongue, right. or the Yoruba tongue, and also the Swahili tongue, Nyoke or Anunnaki. Right. All meaning this on high serpent energy, Anunnaki. One more point is that the Nakiel, Nakiel, I had heard you had mentioned that this was also for the archangel Uriel, right. Meaning serpent god, right. or god, serpent of God. So this is where we're going to see this in Christianity. It says the book of knowledge of God, the fire of God. In the book of Adam and Eve, he presides over repentance. He is the dark angel who wrestled with Jacob at Peniel, so on and so forth. But we see this Naga or Naki many times, and you were the first one to point it out to me that this was from the Anunnaki, right. And this is basically us when we channel this serpent energy. Right. Exactly. And see, what it is that once we start channeling it, it transforms us. We talking about evolution of species, Homo sapiens sapien, but we're gonna make a quantum leap once we master this energy into immortal species called Homo Christos, which has 48 chromosomes and have 12 physical strands of DNA and 12 etheric strands of DNA. So our third-dimensional biology is being alchemically shifted from carbon-12 matter into that of carbon-7. And carbon-7 is what is called multi-dimensional silicon crystal, or the crystal city, which actually is 6 electrons, 1 neutron, and 6 protons, as compared to 6 electrons, 6 neutrons, and 6 protons. It's carbon isotope. Right. We no longer would be that carbon-12 matter. We'll be carbon-7. So this structure is retained. So all of our cells must be transformed from carbon to crystal so that we can withstand the tremendous amount of light that will be streaming in, the solar flares, super flares, mega flares, into our planet from our sun, acting as a magnifying glass for Sirius, Orion, Arcturus, and the Pleiades, and in the central sun of the Pleiades, which is Alcyon. All right, and all of this is mentioned in the book of Job. All right, Job, I think it's Job 3 and Job 9. It's mentioned, these star constellations are mentioned in there. All right, so then it says basically that
our crystalline light bodies will then convert the sunlight, which is ultraviolet light, directly into electricity. All right, this is why they putting black lightning on TV. All right, showing you black lightning. You know, one of the first Marvel black heroes. You know what I'm saying? And his daughter is Thunder, and his other daughter is going to be Lightning. All right, so we got Thunder and Lightning and Black Lightning. All right, so this is what will power us. We will require more light and less food. All right, that's what's going on. We're being alchemically changed. All right, so we have to understand that, and carbon-7 is the material that's equivalent to the Kundalini system, as well as what is called the Metatron cube. All right, so people need to look up the Metatron cube, because like iron has the ability to sustain a magnetic field around it, carbon-7 has the uncanny ability to change hyperdimensional fields. All right, so basically what we're talking about, that as a field of thought around it. So thus it can be amplified, like iron and copper in a transformer can be amplified, magnetic fields. That's what I was talking about earlier. So it says naturally it is formed in the brain of spiritual adepts, where they have an out-of-body experience or perform other supernatural phenomenon, such as biolocation or materialization, etc. During such times, the glow or halo that forms around the heads of these spiritual evolved beings is actually done to the excess neutrons produced when carbon-12 transmute to carbon-7 inside the brain. This is the pineal gland when it activates and start to excrete DMT, all right, which is called dimethyltryptamine, all right, or pinoline. All right, these chemicals are secreted by the pineal gland, also called the seed of the soul. So when these chemicals reaction happen, the brain is literally being awakened as one begins the human experience. Your spiritual evolution depends on you excreting DMT and pinoline, which are the psychedelic drugs produced in your body. All right, and of course, the book you can get for that is called DMT, the Spirit Molecule, by Dr. Rick Stratman.
Spirit Molecule. Yep.
Exactly.
I just did a video called Science of the Third Eye, and I spoke about DMT, because if we go and look up the function of the pineal gland, the only thing it's going to tell us is that it's in charge of circadian rhythm concerning melatonin and serotonin, right? But they will never talk about DMT.
Nope.
Now, when we talk about psychedelic drugs, the first thing that comes to mind is LSD. Right. And if you look at the chemical structure for LSD, at the base of it, it's identical to serotonin.
That's right. Indeed.
Oh my God, Doctor! I've had so much fun with you on this this evening. I took a lot of notes and everything. You never cease to fail to amaze me. I want to thank you so much. I think we've been on about 2 hours now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. It's 10:30.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Do you mind if I give a plug to my my channel though?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to shout my channel out. I'm on Facebook. My name is Crumb Snatcher on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. It's Crumb_Snatcher_. I'm also on YouTube. It's youtube.com/Crumb Snatcher. After I got so many views on my Black Panther video, they gave me my own URL. Also, I'm trying to do a little GoFundMe so I can step my little operation up. I want to walk in your footsteps and start doing official PowerPoint presentations and trying to just, do my part to be a good student. And as a part of that, I just need just some minor resources. So the GoFundMe is called Waking Sleeping Giants. And that's where the family can find me at.
I love it.
I really look forward to doing more work with you, studying under under you, and if I could, even try to get you on my Facebook page as well. But with that said, I definitely want to give you the floor to let you close out. I just want to thank you one more time for allowing me on your platform. Peace, blessings, respect, namaste, Hotep, Islam, Rahubat, Ashe,
Alafia, Habarigani, Yoruru. Exactly. We get it all in. Well, you spoke of the Black Panther, and that's very, and I listened to you when you was on the Goddess show. You did an excellent job, and everything that you were saying, that's what I was going to say. So that's why I didn't do one. So there was no need. You already said it. So the vibranium, the suit that he had on, of course, that's melanin. You know, the vibranium symbolized the melanin portion of yourselves, just like Superman. If you notice, the old Superman had a blue and red suit, but the new Superman, in which that they've been showing you, his suit became a whole lot darker. It became very dark, so dark until it was black, but it's dark blue. All right, that dark blue is the same as Krishna color of blue. All right, so we know that the living. Now you can go to Wikipedia and check this out. Even in Wikipedia, it says, look up Superman, and it says living solar battery. It says Superman's power relies on his cell's ability to absorb and metabolize solar energy from local stars like the Earth's sun. That's you. His Kryptonian body is a living solar battery that absorbs solar energy and converts them to fuel for his powers. His cells also store yellow energy so he can use his powers under objects at night, in dark places, and in space. The more yellow rays, sun rays, Superman absorbs, the stronger he gets. All right. In an instant, he has been shown to enter the sun in order to increase his powers to the highest potentials. This was in 1998 DC 1 million line story. Superman can absorb solar energy of all class stars, in which that he absorbs the solar energy of blue stars and increases his ability to a higher degree and give him additional powers and abilities. Now check this out. This is deep. It says healing factor. Superman is shown to possess remarkable recuperative powers that allow him to quickly heal from wounds and make him immune to all forms of human or earthly diseases, illnesses, viruses, and toxins. This is why we keep beating them at their game of trying to poison us. We keep transmuting. Melanin has its own DNA. It don't stay the same. It changes. Every time you try to look at it on a microscope, it changes. Right? Superman heals faster when he is closer to the sun and he is absorbing more sun rays. So the more sun that we get, we heal. The less vitamin D3 that you have, which is the hormone or the nutrient in which that helps with the catalyst to calcium. Because if you don't have enough vitamin D3, guess what happens with the calcium in your body? It starts to calcify your organs, in particular your pineal gland. All right. So vitamin D is essential. So you are the sun people, right? Even the word, check this out. The word Muslim stems from the ancient Egyptian word Mesrim. Mesrim, the ancient Egyptian word, guess what that means? It means born of Ra. In other words, born of the sun. So you are a Muslim or Muslim in that regard, from the ancient Egyptian meaning of Misrim. All right. So all of this is tying back over and over again to us. All right. So like I said, remember, the man of steel, he symbolized the Moor. All right. Remember, his name was Kal-El. The Moors and the Hebrew Israelites, you know what I'm saying, used the title as their surname. The angels use that title as their surname. Mikael, Raphael, Uriel, Gabriel. All right. So everybody knows that melanin. You can look at a melanated infant. They stand, They sit, stand, crawl, and walk sooner than albion or whites, and demonstrate more advanced cognitive skills than their albion or albino counterparts because of their abundant melanin. Carol Barnes writes that your mental processes, which is your brain power, are controlled by the same chemicals that give Black humans their super physical, athletic, rhythmic, dancing abilities. This chemical is melanin. The abundance of melanin in Black humans produce a supreme or superior organism, both mentally and physically. Black infants, all right, shows these advanced cognitive skills because of it. So melanin is the neurochemical basis for what it is called soul. So melanin is the physical counterpart of what we call the spiritual soul. All right, just like the breath is the physical counterpart of what we call the mind. So the breath is the physical counterpart of the mind, just like the melanin is the physical counterpart of the spiritual soul. All right. So this is the correlation. So when you have absorbed more light, and see, let me say this because there's a guy by the name of what's his name? You can get what's his name? His name is Dr. Leon Eldenstein, a Jewish guy. He says when energy is captured, the battery has more energy to use in the body. Melanin can absorb a great amount of energy and yet not absorb a tremendous amount of heat when it's absorbed this energy, because it can transform harmful energies into useful energies. All right, this means that the human being can charge up their melanin, and they possess the unique ability to absorb various energy sources and convert these absorbed energies into reusable energy. This includes mediums such as music, vibration, sound wave, sun rays, sun heat, light rays, and etc. And this is what the Jewish guy says now. Jewish, not Jew, Jewish. Dr. Leon Eldenstein, he says melanin can absorb tremendous quantities of energy of all kinds, including energy from sunlight, X-ray machines, and energies that is formed within cells during metabolism of cells. In Dr. Frank's Bar theory, he states that matter is shaped and structured by light. These molecules, melanin combinations, eat light in order to maintain, expand, and evolve matter. The more highly evolved the species, the more complex its biological capacity to use light is. Now you can get this this is also in the book called The Science of Blackness by Hatepu Iyamin. He says melanin is the black to allow chemical structure to obtain, retain, store, and generate light and sound energy once it contacts the molecule. This light and sound energy permits the African to have a higher level of perception and give him the ability to communicate with the dead, the spirit world, and the outer space cosmos. Melanin refines the nervous system in such a way that messages from the brain reaches other areas of the body more rapidly in original people. Right? So this is what is being said about the science of melanin on more of a spiritual level in connection to what we've seen in the movie Black Panther and what we've seen in the Justice League with Superman and his resurrection from the dead, which is nothing but the story of Osar or Osiris, as you may mention of, was nothing but the story of Osiris told again in the movie Black Panther. Osiris, Set, Soot, that same story told over again. All right, it's always the same story. They can't change it, as you made the statement of. So this is just things that we have to understand.
Facts, all facts. I love the way it seems like every time I look at a body of work that you've done, I've always done a similar. Well, 20 years later, 5 years later, I'm coming around doing similar works. You and I are so much on the same wavelength. And I want to thank you about that radio station plug too. They told me that it was because of you that I even got up there in the first place. So gratitude for that. The video almost got 200,000 views on YouTube. So it definitely resonated and caught that wave.
Right.
But I tell you, my second best video I've ever done was We Are the Reptilians.
Right.
And, you know, even in that line, you know, these are things that the people want to hear more of. So yeah, I'm grateful because I've been able to kind of put that out there. But I know that I have great shoes to fill. I stand on the shoulders of giants, you know, because this is the information that you put out here a long time ago. I'm just now coming and regurgitating.
But that's beautiful. But that's beautiful. Because that means I'm not the only crazy dude on the planet. That's beautiful. You in good company.
Absolutely. Sound logic. You exercise sound logic. You stay true to the craft as far as a true academic. Sound logic.
Thank you, bro.
Definitely. With that said, I was going to try to wrap it up on my side.
All right. You can wrap it up.
So with that said, I do want to thank you one more time. I am so grateful and appreciative of the opportunity to work with you. I will be studying more of your content. You have a plethora of information on YouTube, even on not even just on YouTube, but just on Google as well. When I Google you, not only is it a large body of your independent research and study, but other master students who have studied under you as well. And I am looking to put my name within the ranks. You know, I told you on the first phone call, you know, you're Batman, I'm Robin, I'm telling you, and this Justice League, I'm just very impressed with it. So with that said, I want to thank you one more time for the amount of work that you've done, for what you've given. You know, it really humbles and motivates me to even be in the presence of such a master teacher as yourself. You know, I told you I went onto your website and I saw your credentials, which was expensive. So I just want to thank you one more time for having me as a guest, and I really look forward to repaying the favor in the near future. I just want to thank you again. Peace, love, I say Islam, Rahu back. Thank you again. Peace.
Namaste, bro. Appreciate you. Peace.
Peace.
All right, brother L. Yep, I hear you loud and clear. Right. 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 It's this right. Exactly. It's that same story told over again, but you know, they're not looking at it. But you know, Brother Crump Snatcher, you know, Brother William L., you know, that noble, he broke it down. If they can go back and listen to what he was saying, you know, on the show that he did on Resurrection Radio, you know, they can hear him. He breaks it down. Right. Right. Right.
There was a lot of brothers and sisters wearing their African garb and stuff like that, you know.
Right.
And it didn't have nothing to do with so-called black people, you know.
Well,
it wasn't about so-called black people.
Red, the colors red, black, and green are the colors of resurrection within ancient Egypt. This is why you see or saw with his hands in a cross. You know, his hands in a cross symbolizes resurrection. You know, and you oftentimes would see the collar around his neck, which is now within Freemasonry, but the colors is red, black, and green. You would see even the chair or the throne in which that Osiris is sitting on are the colors red, black, and green. Those colors are resurrection colors. This is where Marcus Garvey got the colors from. This is what was shown also in the movie of Black Panther, was those particular colors. So, I mean, these are the colors of resurrection, bro. This we have to understand that this was about us. All right. You know, a brother wrote the script for it. All right. He wrote this script and he produced this the movie. Okay. And he was able to the comic book. The comic book was supposedly created by Stan Lee, all right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And which that you had the Black Panther Party from out of Alabama, you know, because some are saying that the Black Panthers comic book came out before the Black Panthers in Oakland, California in 1966, but not the Black Panthers from Alabama. They didn't come out before them. All right, so in Mississippi, so you know, everybody want to focus on the Black Panthers from out of Oakland, but there was already Black Panthers in Mississippi and Alabama, you know, which they don't talk about. And this is where Stan Lee and those who wrote the comic book series for what we call now Black Panther got their concept from.
Okay. So they didn't break it down like that.
Yeah, that's because they got to do more study. This is the problem. Most people be doing half-ass research and then coming out thinking that they got the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Instead of just saying, look, I have a part or a piece of the puzzle. You know, that's just what it is. You know, if you hear me say something, I have my piece. Somebody else might have another piece.
Right.
Well, shit, let's link them pieces up before we can get a better look at this puzzle, because you know, our people need this information. You know, they need a resurrection.
Right.
They need that red, black, and green. Hell, even our colors are red, black, and green. You know what I'm saying? We got the cherry red background with the green 5-pointed star with the red, with the black border around the star. That's red, black, and green. So even Moors have to say, nah, I rock the red, black, and green too. So what you talking about? I'm RBG. You know,
that's the resurrection colors.
Right.
Is it also yellow too?
Well, we put yellow in there. Yes. Well, you know, our flag has red. You know, our flag have red, black, and green, and yellow. Exactly.
Right. That's what I'm thinking about. With the new bird climbing out of the ashes of the fire.
Right.
Means rebirth.
Right. Exactly. That's what the bird symbolized, right? The Bennu bird or the phoenix raising from the ashes every 555 years, which is based on the height of what? The obelisk or the Tekken in Washington, D.C., which is 555 feet tall, which symbolizes the resurrection. Or in the case of the erection.
Oh no, they ain't none of them brothers broken down like that.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. You know, the more and more you research, hey,
oh man,
yeah.
Like I said, some of these brothers you've been dealing with on the East Coast. Like I said, I ain't gonna mention no names, but I said you'd be surprised who these brothers are though.
Right.
So it was about us.
Oh, it definitely was about us.
Like I said, I haven't saw the movie yet, but
Right.
yeah, the movie was what you said, and the brother that was guest here tonight, yeah, I broke it down for me perfectly.
Right.
I really thank y'all for that.
Indeed.
I appreciate you and the other brother for that.
Oh yeah, appreciate you out for listening. Indeed, indeed.
All right, that's what's up. Man, no, them brothers need to go back and do more research and more homework, a whole lot more.
Well, I mean, Ryan Coogler, that's his name, is the brother, he was the director. He directed the movie, and he also was the screenwriter, but he also allegedly wrote it too. And he was from out of Oakland, California. That's where he was born. Okay. Now, that's the area of the Black Panthers.
Right.
The Black Panthers, okay? And he was from Oakland, California, born in Oakland, California. Is that a coincidence?
I don't think so.
And he becomes the director and the screenwriter. For Black Panther. I don't think that's a coincidence.
I don't think so neither.
So I seen it more so that way, in that regard.
Yeah. Well, I sure thank you for Dr. Alim.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Man, I really got to see the movie now.
Oh yeah, you have to see it, Brother L.
Because you had a little bit of masonry in there too, from the way you were dropping it,
Yeah, because C.W. Ledbetter said specifically that in the hidden history of Freemasonry. Now this is what he said: the hidden life of Freemasonry. That was his book by C.W. Ledbetter from the Theosophical Society, Brother L. 33 degrees. He said that the Twa, the Pygmies, all right, were the first people on the planet Earth, and that they was also the first people to enter into Egypt. Now that makes sense, because when I read in another book, as I spoke about earlier, in the other book it says that not only were they the first to enter Egypt, and this is where they get the statues of Bes from, and actually they were the Anu people. They was the ones on which that the people worship, because they was the oldest ancestors on the planet. So they represented Anu, the on high, the higher self people. In other words, the serpentine fire people. When the serpent becomes on high, they become the Anunnaki, the serpent on high. So they become these people, who was worshipped in Samaria, Mesopotamia, Akkadian, Egypt, so forth and so on, Syria, or Syria as it was called then, so forth and so on. So we look at this all around and we see that these were the people, but it wasn't the people themselves per se. It was what they did for us, because the earliest writings, hieroglyphics, and of cuneiform of the Mesopotamians, all this came from them, from their genius, from their brilliance. And we, as their descendants, or ascendants, as I refer to us as, took that information and we become the bearers of this information. Not Zachariah Ascension, not E.A. Wallace Budge, or even Gerald Massey, these great Egyptologists and cuneiform, or what they call mythologists, all this information is going back to us, and we have to pick it up. We have to pick up the mantle and run with this. You know, we have to. We have no choice.
Right. Yeah, I sure do. I said, man, I'm not on brothers, but I mean, I thought I'm not one on that YouTube. Broke it down like you and this brother did.
Right.
Man, I'm like, man, that goes to show you how many of these brothers don't really study or do their homework or do their research like they claim they do.
Right. Indeed.
So, all right then.
Okay, we getting ready to go. You got to close it.
Some of that down at the
yeah. Yep.
Okay, at the conference.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. That's a must.
Oh yeah. Any comments before we leave, Brother L? Anything you want to say?
That's about it. Dr. Ali.
All right.
So hopefully I'll talk to you tomorrow night at the class.
Yeah, be in the class.
I'll be there.
All right. Well, we see you then, Brother Al. Appreciate you for coming on.
Brother.
Appreciate you coming on tonight.
You,
being a co-host.
Appreciate you, brother.
Oh yeah. All right, and before we go, hit you up.
First World Order Radio, final lead. We are on the air. No doubt. All right. There's always going to be somebody in the building on First World Order Radio. You get on with it. I made the sun reflection go to on my necklace. Rebirth the earth, I can feel the resurrected. Beaming my macabre to the stars, I'm serious. The time to fall home. If you know what ascension is, is to raise the frequency. I do it through my music. But when I die, my body mummified by Anubis. Return to the afterlife. Some call it paradise. I astro projecting me, my ancestors every night. For the transition, everything is no to hold a mirror to the words with alternative motives. I never changed my integrity, even fit in the matrix. Came from many lifetimes since the dawn's creation. I'm on the sounds for the galaxy, playing like trumpets. We coming forth by the day, but you can sing up and coming. I can speak you in the slot, but we can wait till the next one. Open your mouth to all things, and I give you the lecture. I'm alive, but your friends all know me. Call them high, let them come how to earn me. Oh God, I feel the y'all that bless me. I know the universe loves me. I'm alive, but your friends all know me. Call them high, let them come how to earn me. Oh God, I know you y'all that bless me. I know the universe loves me. My sympathy, even though they think that I'm weird, I've been exposed to different information over the years. The type of shit that make you wonder, am I really human? Or is my body just an avatar, living a movie, equipped with all my God particles, made up of atoms, create a wormhole. I couldn't space and rip with the fabric. I'm just a fool who realizes origin off this planet. Starships in the sky, and preparing for landing. Coming off the mind control that the media features. They all sitting close but teleprompts, fitting the seizure. I would never fear a thing, my soul forever lasting, capable lifetimes for the city of legends. Angelic light being in the physical form, the chemtrails in the sky that do the physical harm. What the hell would it take just to rule your law? I can't wait till the day that this earth is reborn. I'm alive, but your friends all know me. Call them high and let them come how to earn me. Oh God, I tell you y'all can bless me. Up high, know the universe loves me. I'm alive, but your friends all know me. Call them high and let them come how to earn me. Oh God, I tell you y'all can bless me. Up high, know the universe loves me.
Peace.